You begin now?
Sure. A very good evening we wish to Dr. Benedict and all our classmates. Today we are excited to present to you the creditworthiness of Sarawak Plantation Berhad. We would like to appeal whether or not Sarawak Plantation is worthy to receive a loan. So let's dive into it. I'll now pass the time to Henry to talk about the background of the company.
First, let's start with the background details. The borrower's name is Sarawak Plantation. Now let's move on to their address. Their registered office is located in Kuching, Sarawak, and these are some of the major shareholders and beneficiaries. Next, we will be looking at the overview of the borrower. Let's start with the number of employees. As of our latest information, the company employs over 2,359 people, making it a significant contributor to the local economy. Now let's move on to their products. The company's main products include crude palm oil, palm kernel, and palm kernel oil. In addition to this, they also have other businesses, including seed production, cattle integration, provision of laboratory services, management and marketing services, and property investment. Moving on to the location, the company has a presence in several key areas, including Miri, Bintulu, and Cebu, which are all located in Malaysia. Next, let's talk about the main competitors of this company. They are competing against some of the biggest players in the industry, including Sam Dabi Plantation, IOI, Corporation Berhad, and United Plantation Berhad. Finally, these are some of the company's board of directors. And now I'll pass it on to Hui Li for the first part of SWOT analysis.
Thank you, Henry. Now I'll be talking about the SWOT analysis. Here, next slide. Here we have presented three strengths for Sarawak Plantation. The first one is strong financial positions. During COVID-19 epidemic, Sarawak Plantation managed to raise 34% of its sales despite all the restrictions and uncertainties. This shows that Sarawak Plantation has the capabilities and financial strength to conquer unforeseeable events. Secondly, good track record. Sarawak Plantation has been around for 40 years and is one of the pioneer players in the plantation industries. By having an established background and reputations, it provides a sense of reliability and confidence to existence and potential investors. Thirdly, Sarawak Plantation is devoted to sustainable practices. Sarawak Plantation has assembled a list of CSR initiatives to reduce their environmental effect and came up with zero burning policy for land clearing and replanting. Next, I'll pass it along to Alpheus.
Thank you, Vedi. Now, where there are strengths, there are also weaknesses. Considering the lack that our company has, one thing we observed is the lack of mention of an ESG framework. While there are certain sustainability approaches, we strongly notice that there is no consideration towards the current booming consideration among companies, which would be the ESG framework. Secondly, a significant lack of diversification and expansion. In considering the financial situation of the company, which we will look into in further detail later, it is noteworthy that our company is not significantly considering expanding into new markets or diversifying their products. For that reason, we would like to highlight these as the main weaknesses of the company. Now, we will talk about the opportunities. I will pass the time to Henry.
The opportunity. Sarawak Plantation is exploring upstream activities such as increasing seed production to a total of 5 million seeds within the next 5 years. This would enable the group to have high quality seed for expansion plans and support the increase in development of oil palm plantation. The first downstream activity for Sarawak Plantation is biodiesel production from crude palm oil, and considering biological treatment of palm oil meal effluent to harness methane gas as fuel for gas engine. Additionally, the biogas produced during treatment can provide an alternative energy source for palm oil mills, reducing their reliance on fossil fuels and promoting sustainable energy practices. The second would be animal feed from waste generated by pruning of oil palm trees, which is profitable. This technology allows the company to recycle waste from operation for profitable alternative uses. Now pass it on to Kerry for the threat.
Thank you, Henry. As for the threat, the risk in this industry analysis is volatility in demand and commodity prices. Palm oil plantation industry faces risk as the palm oil prices remain volatile due to the results in geopolitical and social economic development and the impact from other competing vegetable oil. Currently, European Union has a palm oil ban on products produced from Malaysia and Indonesia. This is because European Union have proven that forest has been deforested to plant palm trees to produce palm oil. This paints a very bad image for the industry and also results in a lower palm oil price per metric ton. So this affects the whole plantation industry as well as our competitors and our principal company, Sarawak Plantation. Next point, there is also healthier substitute to palm oil, which are olive oil, coconut oil, flaxseed oil, and avocado oil. For example, olive oil is one of the healthiest oil in the market. It has high monosaturated fats and also lowers the risk of heart diseases. This may also aid in blood sugar reduction. Next point, healthy living by cooking food without the use of oil. So this can be achieved by cooking food with the air fryer, and it is also helping people to reduce their fats and calorie intake compared to foods that are cooked with palm oil. Next, I'll be passing on to Alpheus.
Thank you, Kerry. Now let's talk about the financial analysis. One of the financial analysis that we found most telling would be the debt to equity ratio. The reason is because when we observe Sarawak Plantation, you would notice that it has one of the lowest debt to equity ratios. And there's a reason for this. The company declared in its 2021 annual report that it had one of the highest milestone profit margins of up to 70%. And this followed by them using all that cash flow, all that liquidity to pay off a large sum of their debts and liabilities. For that reason, we find that their debt to equity ratio is considerably lower than its competitors. We believe that this puts the company in a very strong position in order to request for a loan because its creditworthiness has been bumped up by this ratio. I will now pass the time to Brady to talk about the current ratio.
Thank you, Alpheus. Next, I'll be talking about the current ratio and cash flow ratio. As you can see on the table, Sarawak Plantation has progressively shown an improvement on its current ratio throughout 2019 to 2021. It has grown from 1.3 in 2019 to 1.55 in 2021. As compared to its competitors, IOI, United Plantation, and Sime Darby, they have shown a significant fluctuations and unpredictable patterns for their current ratios. Meanwhile, Sarawak Plantation demonstrated a steady and consistent growth throughout the year of 2019 to 2021. Next is the cash flow ratio. Next slide. This is one of the most noticeable improvements achieved by Sarawak Plantations. As you can see on the table, Sarawak Plantation drastically grown from 0.42 in 2019 to 2.6 in 2021. The major distinction that caused such substantial improvement was due to the major increase in cash flow and decrease in long-term debt in 2021. Now I'll pass it along to Alpheus.
Thank you, Bailey. Now we'll be looking into the security. Now, among the considerations that we put is to consider the Altman Z-score, as you can see. And we've also put the formula of the Altman Z-score simply because the various considerations that have been taken into account, along with their specific weightages, can give us a clearer idea of the position of the company and why it is so. We're very happy to report that the 2021 Z-score is 3.21, which is very good, considering all things considered in the industry. This puts the company at a very good position in terms of requesting for loans because of its Z-score. However, in consideration of the securities of the company, it is noteworthy that the only assets that appear to have securitization would be Islamic term loan, revolving credit, and assets under high purchases, the securities being legal charges, corporate guarantees, and charges. This is considerably less secure than its competitors, and for that reason, this is something that we will talk about more in the recommendations. This would put the company at risk in terms of credit, interest rate, and default risk. Although it is currently in a relatively stable position, we would like to ensure that the company looks into strengthening its second way out. Now I will pass the time to Kerry.
Thank you, Alpheus. So as you can see, we have reached the point of recommendation. So for the first way out, Sarawak Plantations holds a great position in paying back the loan as per 2021 and has a current and liquidity ratio of 1.55 and 1.45, which is 0.1 increase for the RM1 of debt, which is enough to pay back the loan. I would consider giving a loan to SPB, but at a higher interest to protect the bank's interest. As for the second way out, the bank should consider obtaining collateral from Sarawak Plantation Berhad. So Sarawak Plantation Berhad can pledge some of their fully paid properties and a substantial agricultural land that they do own for collateral to the bank to receive a higher loan amount with a lesser interest rate. So in the perspective of a bank, with a collateral is considered far less risky to approve a loan compared without collateral. Next, for Altman Z-score. Altman Z-score figures in 2021 are 3.21, which shows that SPB, which is Sarawak Plantation Berhad, has strong financial position and would not go bankrupt if there is a sudden economical downturn. Furthermore, Altman Z-score represents manufacturing companies, which Sarawak Plantation is also a manufacturing company for palm oil. Next point, ESG, environmental, social, and governance. As we can see from here, Sarawak Plantation Berhad has not been implementing ESG. Companies that score well on ESG metrics are often viewed as being more responsible and therefore less risky by investors and also lenders. Companies that can effectively manage their ESG risk and incorporate sustainable practices into their operations are likely to benefit from a lower borrowing cost and improve access to capital. Our recommendation is that they can start implementing ESG in the future as they are able to get a lower cost of debt. In conclusion, based on the above information on Sarawak Plantation Berhad, we will be able to give a loan. Next slide. So this will be our reference. That's all for our presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you to Samuel, Alpheus, Henry, Huili. Well done. The flow of slides were well sorted out. And the only thing is that the flip over to the next speaker was, I find it was too frequent. So that in future you can look at that, not to change the speakers too much in one particular slide. Other than that, everything is fine. And I just want to have one question. It seems that you have pointed out that they do not expand outside Malaysia. Is there any particular reason, have they stated in their annual report, but they're here for 40 years? They have not even looked at outside Malaysia. Is something very surprising. You can close. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah. It's a bit surprising that they have not looked outside Malaysia. Can you explain a little on that? Anyone from your group?
From my understanding of the reading of the annual reports, it appears that they have developed a niche market where they are here in Malaysia. So it's very likely that due to this, they have fixed their gaze in Malaysia. And also because they had a first mover advantage, they're one of the first plantation companies in Malaysia. And for that reason, they are likely very confident in their current standing, which admittedly also can put them at a disadvantage because they're not looking beyond Malaysia, as you pointed out rightly, sir. This is likely the reason why. In fact, even if you read through the report, you see little mention, as you highlighted, of expanding beyond Malaysia as well. So that is something that we noted as well. Yes.
Yeah. And also, it was also mentioned that because of substitutes now coming into the market, like olive oil and all, so wouldn't you feel that Sarawak plantation in the next decade or so will have a greater risk when it comes to selling their particular products? And secondly, of course, the answer you may give is that they are also involved in downstream activities. But how can you, how much of these downstream activities has contributed to the profitability so that the future looks not so bleak?
So I'll add notes to that. Basically, Sarawak, it's the biggest plantation sectors. I mean, Sarawak is located at a peak area, and palm oil plantation, they thrive around the peat area. Therefore, that's why they are so focusing on expanding their businesses in Sarawak rather than other places in Malaysia, in other nations.
So how can their downstream activities contribute to the bottom line? Have you studied that?
As in how the
Downstream.
I think the question, correct me if I'm wrong, sir, the question is how does the downstream activities potentially lead to more profitability in the future?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that okay. They
Go ahead.
they focus more on sustainability, and they actually uses many innovative ways, alternative ways to actually improve their current crude palm oil and make it into something that is sustainable and also kind of innovative, and like such as they would actually use animal feed from waste. They would actually make it from the waste generated by the pruning of oil palm trees and into animal feed. And this is actually one of the profitable ways to innovate and generate an income.
Okay. But that is contradictory to your slide number 6.0 under recommendation, where you said that there is no ESG efforts being made. No, slide number 6, recommendation, yeah. Implementation of social governance.
To add to that, sir, I think I'd like to just say that the ESG framework, that it can't be denied that every company is doing something in some way at this point towards ESG. But I think that especially Sarawak Plantation could do more. This is something that they've just started to make an action plan that they'd like to look into. But we're suggesting that they look into more in order to ensure that they, especially in terms of from the perspective of the investors and the reputation, that they're able to protect, and also naturally for the sustainability of the environment as well.
Okay.
Right.
Dr. Ben, I think just now you were asking a question about like if let's say Sarawak plantation, there's also competing oils out there in the market, and like I think for long term, their play could be also like using a biodiesel fuel, like using the palm oil and making it into an alternative source of fuel for like vehicles. And I think in Malaysia right now, there is a current effort that they are trying to make this happen. And also, furthermore, that the palm oil is like so versatile that it's not necessarily needed to be used in cooking products. Like it could also be used in like manufacturing cosmetics or even sweets or even like other sort of stuff that is like it still needs a palm oil because it's like palm oil is so essential where like it
Okay.
can go in any particular type of food.
Okay. Right. Thank you, guys. You can stop the recording now.
Yes, already